Well, ain't this a cool guy? Kinda badass looking. But then again, I got a soft spot for engineers. Yeah, in the Army guy. Well, why do a lot of people didn't like this guy? I don't know, man. I was really psyched about getting this guy. Hey guys, it's Crusty Old Crow again, ripping off music. Loving on my music today while I bash out a bunch of videos that I feel are long overdue. But man, some of them will be the culmination of a lot of work done in silence, if you know what I mean. But listen, we got number 78. We got Tripwire, finally, man. The childhood connection with this one is very there with me. This is the Tactical Perspective, by the way. One of a few types of shows I do here on my channel. If you're just newly joining us, I do a Tactical Perspective. I do the Crow's Customs Corner. And I also do things like a hot mic and things like that every now and then where I just talk shit. But today, it's a Tactical Perspective on this one. G.I. Joe's main engineer, and by main engineer, I mean the main one that you think and know is an engineer when you see him. Of course, we know Zap is also an engineer, but we haven't seen that figure yet. But this one we see, and it's, of course, Tripwire, Apsara, and MACLEOD. Now, Apsara must be the mouse, I guess, and MACLEOD is the drone, clearly. But I don't know anything about this mouse or this rat, bomb disposal rat named Apsara. This is a new critter as I saw it. I mean, I knew about Spirit and his bird Freedom. I knew about Mutt and his dog Junkyard. Hell, I knew about Snake Eyes and Timber. Shipwreck and Polly, Crockmaster and Fiona. I knew about all these things. Even Nagahide and his pets, I knew he had them. I had no idea Tripwire had a pet rat because I didn't grow up with the cartoon. I watched the cartoon now as an adult. I consider it research, topical research, and understanding of things. But yeah, you get a rat with this one, so he counts as a Joe with pets, right? Service rat. But he stands at 6'2". You know this because you can read the back of a box and it can tell you his size. But look at all that kit. That's why he's a deluxe price, of course. He's got his mine detector. He's got one weapon, and that is a service pistol, which sits on his hip. He's got MACLEOD, his bomb disposal drone. More of a utility drone, I would think. I've got some issues with this drone I'm going to talk about in there during a review, but I do like it. We've got a couple of the mines, which is synonymous with the old Tripwire. Man, it is the old Tripwire when he comes with two of those little anti-armor mines. And he's got his drone controller, and the drone is a new ad. He always came with his little minesweeper, which had the hose, I believe. And he always had those mines, but he didn't always have a drone. Therefore, he didn't have a drone controller, and he certainly didn't have these armor loadouts for the plates. He's got two interchangeable vests, and these borrow from the old plug and clip system that other companies like Valiverse use and that 3D printers use. This was the start of hopefully a good trend, but it died with the classified line. I don't know why they didn't do this more often, because this is figure 78 and we're up to what, 120 something now, I'm sure, if not higher. Are we up to 120? I feel like we're up to 120, guys. Let's pretend we are. Anyways, my point being is I don't see that carrying over a lot in this line, and I think there was other opportunities to do it. So yeah, lots of engineers. He is a bomb disposal specialist in this variation, and this is a step up on the character from his original iteration back in the 80s when he was just a simple mine detector. All right, guys. So what you get in all this, and what they want you to pay attention to, is his ranks on his plating, and then his his normal other helmet with the headset there. These are the features they want you to pay attention to. Of course, you've got your side box art where he is displaying the only way he is a threat to somebody is, hey, I've got a gun, okay? Just let me look for my shit and I'll disarm the bomb, but if you sneak up on me, I got a gun. And that's about all we need to look at with this box. Again, we're talking about number 78 in the series. This garbage over here, I still haven't checked out, but there's his primary combat functions. His PCFs as we know them. Tripwire, Apsara, and MACLEOD. So let's take this pretty little figure and his dumpster full of kit head downstairs and pick a set and let's talk about it. See you down there. So here he is, guys. This is Tripwire number 78 in the series for G.I. Joe Classified. It's Tripwire, Apsara, and MACLEOD. Now, Apsara would be his rodent, and MACLEOD would be his drone. And if ever I've been confused by the box naming convention, it is now, because sometimes they put the full name, sometimes they just put the character's code name. Sometimes they'll make it like a scrolling credits of a Star Wars movie, as they have done here. But there you go, guys. This is essentially what you get in your kit. And he comes with a huge assortment of kit. I gotta move some of this back so you can see it. Look, one vest, two vests, a neck gaiter, a larger neck gaiter, a helmet, another helmet, a rat named Apsara. You get the backpack and the mine detector and the cord. You get MACLEOD. You get remote for MACLEOD. You get extra mine for the mine that's in there. You get pistol. You get tripwire. Okay, guys, that is a lot on the box, and you can tell now why on the back of the box they had to essentially just lay it out with him already wearing one of the vests on him, because essentially there was no room to do anything else with that. There would be no space on the box for them to highlight that shoulder flash and that helmet. So the helmet, the comms, the earpiece and everything like that, it's a neat little feature, right? Because you got to remember, he can't hear jack squat with all this gear on there and everything like that. But it's one of the few features on there that they want you to pay attention to. And I was like, why, when there's so much other functionality on here, are we drawing them to just a headset of comms? But it did lend my eye to the fact that, if you notice, in this fancy last homage of the black and white box art, his goggles were transparent. In everything we see, he should have transparent goggles, but it's such a big kit with so much plastics. That was one thing they saved themselves a few bucks with, and did not make transparent goggles or a transparent face part for this helmet. And I'm okay with it, but it would have been nice to have a little bit of transparency with that. But nonetheless, they did not. So we're going to talk about all the kit that he got. But I first have to start this off with the file card. The file card to me is the epitome of where you start when you want to get to know your Joe or Cobra character. So we always start with the file card here on the tactical perspective. So Tripwire is a mine detector, because like I said, that's what they were called back in the day for the Joe line. That's how we got to know him. But his real name is Tormund S. Skog. And his primary military specialty is explosive ordnance disposal, EOD. Military secondary is demolitions, and his birthplace was Hibbing, Minnesota. He's an E4, so he's a specialist sergeant for the engineers. Tripwire dropped out of high school at a naval base in Yokosuka, Japan. His father is a career Navy, by the way. Spent 2 years in a Zen monastery pondering the meaning of life. Expelled for breaking too many dishes and spilling every conceivable liquid. Joined the army at 19 and received spiritual awakening on the grenade range, as so many do. Proficient with all NATO and Warsaw Pact explosive detonators, ignition initiators, and blasting machines. Pardon me. Qualified expert, M19 11A auto pistol. I'm going to pause here and just say that he's probably qualified a lot more than that. Everybody's secondary job is infantry when you're a combat arms ground force troop, and so he would be qualified on things like the M4 carbine or whatever the Americans are using. In Canada, he'd be qualified on the C7A2 rifle at a minimum. You can't get out of basic with that. So just mentioning his pistol is kind of silly. He's an expert with that pistol, though. Maybe that's the emphasis we're looking for. That file card goes on to say Tripwire freaks people out. He's always clumsy, jittery, and dropping things, except when he's working with high explosives. Explosives are the only thing that calm him down. And I imagine this is a point that is meant to kind of coincide with the point about how he had an awakening at the grenade range. Perhaps he dropped a grenade and he was able to quickly unscrew it meticulously and disarm the fuse or something. I don't know, some fictitious sci-fi hero shot like that made him inclined to go EOD, whatever. It's Joe Universe, Joe Lore, Joe Privilege. You love it. I love it. We all love it. Let's move on. All right, so that's the file card out of the way. You know I like to do these head to toes on the tactical perspective. If you didn't know that, you're going to know today that I like to start at the head and work my way down. Just like a real military inspection, you start at the top of the soldier and you work his way down to his boots. Then you do the kit. So, with that head, what you got here is a very nice, humble head sculpt. There's nothing really too much going on with that facial feature. He neither looks mad nor happy. He's just calm and almost sedately calm. Those eyes are almost hauntingly relaxed. Kind of like how they did a big deal with Lowlight's eyes. I think they've done an equally big deal with Tripwire's eyes in trying to get a relaxed look. I'm not sure what I'm looking at, if it's the furrow on the brow, the way the upper eyelids are kind of darkened. I don't know, but it's there and I see it. The haircut is a newer haircut. You'd think they just repeated a Duke or a Grunt haircut, but they didn't. They didn't even redo Kamakura's haircut. They gave him his own thing, just a simple swept cut. But you can see that overhang to that fade in the back. It's its own head sculpt for sure. Very interesting. I can see lots of conversion potential, but whatnot. And we'll see it again when we see our Tiger Force version of Tripwire, which will be accompanying that heavy artillery buck of Roadblock that everybody wants because it was so hard to get before. But now you'll get Ma Deuce instead of a Gatling gun. Isn't that nice? The chest. I like this torso bit. I like this whole body itself for conversion potential. If you were to drop those hip holster and armor pieces off the thighs as well as the shoulder pads, you'd have it basically a Grunt, a short fuse, a very generic old style plain Jane Joe, which is great for doing conversions. If you're looking for a short fuse, a zap, perhaps a stealer, this is the kind of fuck you'd want to start off with, I would think. But it's an expensive one to do that with at a deluxe cost and a Hasbro exclusive kind of figure. So I'm not going to do anything with that. Even when I get my spare one with the Tiger Force, I can't see myself doing any conversions with this because of the amount of kit they've given me to give me other options. But that torso, again, we've got that good bend there, but we're going to get rid of that bend as soon as we start putting things up, I think. And the neckline is a straight back skull, so he doesn't have any real ability to look up, guys, or down as much, but just with the neck articulation. So he can look down far better than he can look up. So getting him in the prone position to crawl up to a mine is not going to work. It wouldn't work with those helmets anyways. But, you know, you work with what you got. He's going to be wearing very cumbersome kit. Try that again. He's going to be wearing very cumbersome kit. And that's going to keep him from those poses for the most part anyways. Waist, hips, same deal, standard articulation, very plain, not a whole lot obstructing that waist. No extra Joe belt to obstruct that waist with extra pouches unnecessarily, because we know that would interfere with the vest once we get that on. Down to the boots, we've got those plain gray boots, and I like it. The more plain things are down on the boots, the better. But these aren't lace up, they're pull on. And I kind of like that because I would assume that they've got some sort of extra padding and protection inside, but it doesn't really look like they do. They really just kind of look like rain boots, right? Like they don't look like they've got that padding or anything inside, and that to me doesn't really work with the extra armor he's going to be getting. I feel like of all the Joes that get shin guards, like every single Joe, every single Dreadnought gets something usually covering their shins, for God's sakes. Here's a prime example, one we know very well, Duke. Oh, look at that, Duke's got shin guards. Who else has shin guards? Oh, those are all my own customs. Who else do I have just kicking around over here? For God's sakes, I gotta have something. Oh, there's Helix. Most of mine are packed away right now. Helix, like you could look at your Joe collection and count several Joes that have the shin guard thing going on. Like here's Rock and Roll. Okay, lots of shin guards going on, and yet the guy that deals with EOD and explosives and shockwaves and perhaps blast and shrapnel, He doesn't get them. That's weird. Okay, I'm going to let that one go. The wrist gauntlets match the boots. That's all you need to know. No special Sci-Fi Joe tech on there, and they could have done something because they have such add-on kit. They could have given him some details there, but that wouldn't have been realistic or in line with kind of the character. One thing you'll notice as I get the kit on is although he does have two separate stages of kit for two separate tasks, they are both modern variants of an old design of the Tripwire character. So one thing I would say is a third variation of Tripwire could probably be expected in the form of a retro card at some point that would match that classic character. And of course, that classic character would come with just the mine detector, the clip-in mines, and the backpack, and the cable that connects the assembly together. I don't know if they'd make the helmet removable. I would hope so, but that would be about it. Right? That would be the retro line, I would think. And then, of course, it would be a different buck with a different bend torso. So I'm going to do him up in his first stage of kit now and do another head to toe. Bear with me for a moment. All right, so here we have Tormund now in his first stage gear. This would be the modernization of the original classic mine detector variant, where he has his minesweeper and the uniform he wore, the helmet, and of course the backpack, which has also been upgraded. Very much more modern design, and you can see that he's got one of the mines he comes with poked into that backpack. And this is one of the features I am not a big fan of. The clip-in mine has changed from what it was back in the day. This is what it would look like back here with that blue ring inside if I could have gotten that mine out after I put it back in. But I just lacked the fingernails and I didn't want to jam a tool in there before a video to pluck that out. But this figure will come with two mines. One that I've put in the backpack. The other one you see I'm presenting it to him with MACLEOD because these mines, unlike their predecessors, have a very pronounced clip. By the predecessors, I mean the 80s design, the original design on rollout in that wave. It's a very large clip, actually, and it pokes into a back hole in the back of the vest to secure the mine in. And I felt like that was unnecessary. The original design of it did not have that kind of pronounced. And the way the backpack was designed is that three mines, I believe it was, 2 or 3 mines, could stack into that backpack, or the original design of it. And it didn't require them to be pinned in, and you could access them and slip them out from the side, if I recall right, or they were easy enough to get at with your fingernail to just kind of pluck, 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 get them out. This does not work with that. And do I have the backpack upside down? I probably do. No, I think I've got it upside right. Yep, no, I've got it the right side up. Anyways, I'm not a big fan of the way they did that design, although it does look far more realistic and modernized. It drops its playability when you have to work out those mines, and you don't have anywhere really to stick this other mine except in a bits box somewhere, or perhaps into your diorama, I guess. That's it. Feel free to lose one mine, I guess. I don't know what to advise you. But yeah, this is that classic design in a modern sense, okay? So this is where he is doing mine clearance. To the right of him, you can see that I've set up MACLEOD, like I said, showing off that mine. We can get rid of that now before we lose it. MACLEOD is his own feature. You can see he's got these little red laser eyes. And the arm articulation is a 1, 2, 3, 4-point arm articulation, which is really good. Can really get some good posing and get into the nooks and crannies, get under stuff, bend it around, do what you will. However, it's got a remote, and this one is not like with, and I'm going to show you, Scrap Iron's remote. Scrap Iron's remote, as we remember, had the little graphics on the screen, which would allow you to believe that his drone was seeing things with its sensors, and it was very, very well done little piece. The Tripwire drone, not so much. With its remote, it's got no real feature screen layout for him to get any data off this thing, much less see what it sees. I don't believe it's being projected up into that helmet at all. I see no reason to believe that. These should be direct feed cams. They just didn't want to put that detail on this to bring that cost down. I think that's probably what it is. Okay, that's fine. Just one of these things that I notice. I'm not going to complain too much about it. I still like the figure and I like the kit. I like MACLEOD. I don't mind that the tracks don't move. I don't mind that this doesn't bend. It wasn't meant to be much of a piece. However, I'm not a big fan of the handlebar that he's expected to carry it by. I feel like it should be just raised a little bit more. It's very hard to fix into his hand because it's so close to the hull. Maybe it's the position. If they had put it at the back, they could have given themselves more space for him to carry it like that. But they want him to carry it like this, and basically all you can get in there is a finger, without really working that hand and possibly working that handle into a bad warp. So that to me wasn't a big deal either. I do like MACLEOD. I think I'm gonna like the Tiger Force MACLEOD with its graphics a little bit more, actually. But we'll put that off to the side again. Now I will tell you what I would have traded off, just because I didn't know about Apsara, and you can correct me in the comments. DMAC, I always invite you into the discussion, but Cobra Crimson Commander, any of you guys, if you can explain Apsara, when she started showing up as a rat that he used for enough times that it became significant to his classified character, I'd appreciate that, because I have no idea where Apsara came from. I didn't watch the cartoon as a kid, and as an adult, I'm only watching random episodes, considering it research for my channel. But maybe JLS has talked about Apsara and I've missed it, but I really don't know why there's another Joe animal in the zoo accredited to Tripwire. I always understood Spirit and Freedom, Mutton Junkyard, Crockmaster Fiona, Pork Belly with Naugahyde and the monkey. All the other animals in the zoo I understood, but not the rat, not Apsara. I don't understand Apsara. And so if anybody can enlighten me, that'd be great. Nonetheless, she's there. And she's gotten way more paint detail than the remote, which is kind of the issue I'm taking with her, is that she gets more attention than that remote, which controls that articulated drone. So if she wasn't overly relevant, I just felt like she was a waste of maybe a bit of funds. I don't know, but I like the rat. I think it's a neat ad. I just that to me was the trade-off. But I'll tell you one other thing I would have traded it off for. A simple spray paint can or a simple container of foot powder that he could access and put in that left hand, because when he is sweeping for mines, and these are in lieu of, I wouldn't use a flag, but I mean, even a flag, a small poker flag, but no, spray paint or foot powder to mark mines, guys, to mark lanes and all of that. Yeah, no flags. I would use the flags at the entrance, maybe, if I've proven of where the minefield begins, but he's got to mark where those mines are so they can be pulled later, right? That to me would be better than having a rat. Just some foot powder or a spray paint can saying the mine's right here, moving on. Or even a knife, to maybe a bayonet to prod, to go in on that for 15-degree angle and prod till you found that mine and then define it. Things like that. He would need utilities to defuse bombs anyways, but that's not the kit he's wearing. He's wearing the mine kit, right? So that's what it is there. But speaking of the mine kit, that's basically all you're getting with it. And it's, like I said, a modernization of what you had. However, he does have that mine detector, very modernized compared to the original circular design like the beach boat goers would have. The last piece we'll talk about here is, just before I forget it again, got a nice simple 9mm pistol in that holster, right? The one that he's qualified, the 1911. Thank God he's qualified it. But the truth of the matter is, engineers carry rifles too. It's just he wouldn't be carrying it at this time when he's on task. He would have his support team giving him cover. Anyways, let's bump him up to Hurt Locker level, just to give you guys some frame of reference. Okay, well, it's important to stop mid-dress up here. There's our host, Jeremy Renner here. Just to point out some things that you need to know about switching over the outfits with Tripwire, and where they got innovative and where they did not. So where they got innovative was they finally worked with the vest set open without scissors. The This is something that Valaverse has been doing the whole time. 3D printers are doing it low-key. Wartooth, my friend, and friend of the channels, and of this whole fellowship with the backyard battlefield, and a lot of you, he's been doing this for a while. They all have been, and it's much easier to get this off than to heat up the whole fig and pluck arms off and work that thing up over the head area. You know, the much easier way to get that off. So conversion guys, we appreciate this, but you'll appreciate this when it comes time to change them into a disposal character. You'll notice I'm not wearing the backpack on them this time, because that backpack is for a mine detector. This gear is for bomb disposal, you know, that kind of stuff. The big league stuff where you can get really, really hurt really, really quick. So why I paused him in mid-change was to show you the how that vest came off and how the new one went on, because the larger one also uses that clip. You can see the added blast protection that this one's meant to represent in the torso, as well as in the back, and it hangs down to cover the genitalia and the buttocks. His kitty cat butthole covered. But you know, and then now those thighs and those shoulder flashes make much more sense. But you'll see I also had to work on another neck gaiter, right, which was very difficult to get on over his head. So rather than risk the paint, you know, I can get it over his head, but I heated up the head and took it off just because I felt like it was more secure than rubbing the paint every time I want it on and off. But that's his primary gaiter. Now we put on that secondary gaiter. So this is his initial seating layer, and then this goes over it. I believe this is the way, and now I've lost that little remote. That's fine. I see where it landed. And then we put, so I think I have that on backwards. No, no, it's right. It's forwards. So there you go, guys. There's your blast version of Skog. They're ready to go disarm the bomb, ready to go find his his remote. Unfortunately, that's going to be it for the rest of the scene. But I am very partial to this. This, to me, was the best way for me to see him. He is an all-new character at this point. I don't associate him with Tripwire from my memories. I associate him with Tripwire from the modernization and improvement, where they've hit a raging success, as I see it. But does it matter who this guy is? Does it matter if it's Tormund Skog? No, it doesn't. They could have named any engineer this, and I would have had a new feel about it, right? So that's not necessarily a great thing, nor is it a bad thing. However, let's talk about why they went with this guy. This, to me, was the low-hanging fruit transition. This is what everybody kind of knows was a dangerous job overseas in the modern battlefield, and Tripwire was the character that was most easy to transition into this character, rather than make a new juggernaut armor bomb disposal guy. Perhaps Barricade from later in the line would have been a better choice, but he's too bright of a character. They wanted to upgrade Tripwire, okay? So one thing I was glad is they didn't go overboard with what Jeremy Renner and the movie crew put down about him with a 50 cal sniper rifle, you know, and that whole character, well, it shed light on EOD. It didn't necessarily shed the right light on how the whole process works, the discipline, the intelligence, and the teamwork involved. I felt like Anthony Mackie was there to bear witness to a problem child that happened to know bombs. The movie itself I didn't think was that great. However, if it inspired Hasbro to make a better Tripwire, I think I can take it as a good trade-off, and I think that's what's happened. All right, guys. So what do you think of Tripwire? Do you prefer the mine detector variant? Do you appreciate having two variants? Do you wish they had just done a retro and left it at that? Perhaps leave it at a cheaper price. There goes that helmet. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. I am getting a second one very soon as that Tiger Force variant comes out with my roadblock. So and I'm okay with it. Do I feel like that's kind of a ripoff to have them both like this when there's so much? Yeah, but when you put them on different shelves, you'll appreciate it. And when your Tiger Force is looking strong because you got a 2-pack at a fair price with two characters that really look good, you'll appreciate it. But to me, I didn't think there was anything worth being worth any controversy with this thing. So with the grading system on a play grade, I gotta give it a 5 out of 5 on the play grade, just because I have not seen this much kit. I think this is more kit than even what Snow Job came with, or a Snow Serpent. So I felt like that was well worth the price. I felt like there was care to the character and not a lot of unnecessary kit. Just some complexity issues on where things like that second mind, the functionality of the mind controller, or the mind pack, and how they seat. Maybe the controller's little lackluster display screen might be an issue for me, but the playability, including a drone, a rat, a character with 2 different costumes, basically, it's all there. I have to give it a 5 out of 5. For tack, yeah, I'll give it a strong tack. Sorry, it's playability? Yeah, 5 out of 5. I can't get the graphics off that, and yeah, it's good. Tack, I would have to go probably a 4 out of 5. There's little things that they didn't include that I felt were not considered. Like I said, marking mines is very important. That's more important than having a rat that can sniff them out. We have other ways of dealing with all that. He's hand holding one right now. The rat's more of the EOD side of things, and I get that. But to me, it was unnecessary a little bit. But also on the tack side, those boots and the legs, the knees, they lack a lot of the hanging down thick Kevlar pants. And by the pants that I'm thinking of that would work for him, I'm thinking of guys like Scrap Iron, where his pants were really thick, and clearly blast protectorant, or even some extra armor shin guards like what you would have on the Crimson Alley Viper there. Just more blast protection. I felt like this, I don't know, there was just something about it. And then lacking a personal rifle, I felt was a little bit of robbery, but I can forgive it. So I'd go 4.5 on tack. I'll be that generous with it. Creativity, there's not much I ding on creativity. If a figure looks good, even if I don't like it, if it looks like it's got the effort, I'll claim there is creativity. But this is one of those times where I was kind of thinking maybe creativity didn't really matter as much. The armor loadout, cover them head to toe kind of thing with modernized military kit really doesn't leave as much room for the imagination, I guess, as creating your own design. Like I'm sure they created their own design based on it, but it felt like half the work was done for them just based off the modernization of this and incorporating another design of EOD bomb disposal guy on top of Tripwire. Again, a head to toe covering. I'm only going to go with a 3.5 for creativity because the mouse, the drone, all that. No, yeah, 3.5 because I don't feel like there was much work to be done here. However, the problem solving, I will say, will bump that up to a 4. I felt like they did some good problem solving with the vest and keeping the body simple to work that vest to its max efficiency and to give you as much articulation as you can for a heavily armored figure. All right, guys, so what did I say? It was a 5, a 4, and a 5, a 4.5, and a 4.5. Whatever. It doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter to you. It doesn't really matter to me. Well, I showed you the box. I showed you the stuff. Lots of kit. Very happy to get this guy. Paid the price that Hasbro asked. I think it's worth more than what they asked, quite honestly, if I'm being truthful. I look at what they crammed into this box, and again, it's very rare you get a figure with only one weapon and so much kit, and it works this well. I just also know the people that are disagreeing with this character, I don't know what they were looking for, but I feel like they'll find it in the retro card design. But I always feel like Tripwire, of all the Joes out there, always had his kit working against him, because as children we wanted the fighter, we wanted the trench clearer, we wanted the breachers and the door kickers and the guys that went fisticuffs. We didn't necessarily want the guy doing the slow, meticulous search, and that is exactly what Tripwire is. He is that patient, slow, meticulous search. He's not here to fight. He's here to save lives. He'll fight after he saves those lives. He'll fight during those lives. But the fight for him is finding all the traps, right? And if you got to bring a rat to the show and a robo, then you do that. Hey guys, that's going to conclude this Tactical Perspective toy review on number 78 of G.I. Joe Classified Series, Tripwire, MACLEOD, and Apsara. If you like this video, don't forget to hit that like. Pound that subscribe if you haven't done that. Share these videos wherever you need and do whatever you want. I don't care. I just want you guys to join us here at the Crow's Nest and have a good time. And, you know, watch as we grow this channel from absolutely nothing to still nothing much. But man, am I ever enjoying the ride. Thank you so much, you guys. I will see you again soon.